From one trader making a comeback from a loss of $157,000 to another making a gain with 100x leverage, we are going to go over the most insane trades of this week. Freeloader 3000 just made his money back. On August the 7th of this year, he was down by 54% or $21,000. All he had left was a bit more than $18,000 and the will to make it all back. So in almost 3 months of consistent gains, he brought his account up to $68,047.86, making a 70% or $28,000 year-to-date gain. Boys, gather around for this wild ride. In July, he was down by 50%. Yeah, half of his portfolio turned to dust. He was the embodiment of a WallStreetBets meme, full of hope, only to see his portfolio bleed out like a stuck pig. Every day was pain. Just when he thought he's hit rock bottom, he was digging even lower. Fast forward, he started to claw back. A little green here, a little there. He's nibbling his way out of the hole. By some miracle of the 10th gods, he breaks even. He's staring at his account thinking, is this it? Is this the light at the end of the tunnel? But nah, he wasn't even prepared for what happened next. Literally 1 week after breaking even, he's checking his account and he's up by 70%. He legit thought there was a glitch. Had to refresh the page like 5 times. But nope, it was real. Call it luck, call it divine intervention, but the 10th came home. Moral of the story? Don't give up, homies. The game ain't over till it's over. This week's 70% gain was from Wolf and the rest from buying Rocket Lab and TSTS when they were going up. Ready Interaction 883 never gave up and made an even crazier comeback. On October the 10th, 2022, he was down by 99% or $157,954 and was left with just $1,096.76. But he never gave up and made a comeback in over 2 years. Now he's back to 192k, which means that he's actually up by about $33,000. In 2021, he discovered leveraged ETFs and options and it was easy money. He had some money, about 158k for lowering that on his home, but felt stocks are a way to go, and like an idiot he invested in one go. Then inflation spike happened and damn thing fell every day. It came to a point where he lost 10k every day and had a breakdown in front of his family. Luckily the job was still there, so when reversal started he invested back in TQQQ and call options on index. Nothing crazy, but he held on to UPRO and TQQ units plus a little call options. He never felt he should cash out due to frustration. Leverage can be a or an angel. He did that 15k at some point, but also took it out. His TQQ units and SPY calls did the miracle. Honestly, he knew Nasdaq would return as it always does. He did some Viking therapeutic trade that was a bump. Then he traded TQQQ actively and some options this year. His target was $200 a day of profit and that also added. This is his trade account since he wanted to learn trading. Interpret Piece 2350 is asking how does he changed the font color from red to green. He lost 93% of his money or $22,000 and is left with about $1,500 with his chart just consistently falling. He lost this much money over the past 4 years of trading. He didn't start with 24k, but he kept adding and losing till he got to this point. However, it's comeback season, so watch him go even lower. Now here are the strategies he used. Firstly, buy one share of everything. Secondly, buy a stock that's down a lot after 2 hours of the market. Next, buy TikTok stocks. He also learned options and applied strategy number 2. His next strategy was to wait for a doji candle break and make 10% on an option of any stock. And final and current strategy is support and resistance with some other indicators. And this last strategy turned his $400 into $1,500. Snark Anthony did something so improbable that it's almost impossible. He made a 60k gain as he caught the pico bottom on 100x leverage. He was trading Bitcoin, and just to give you a perspective why this gain is so impossible to do, in the 8 hours after you enter the trade with 100x leverage, you have a 94% probability of liquidating your account. You see, you get liquidated if your maintenance margin is insufficient. Can't go into that in perpetual futures trading. If you do, you can talk to the exchange and they'll zero out your balance for you. Most exchanges have an insurance fund in place to pay out as a backstop if they can't liquidate for various reasons. He entered the trade with just 17k and didn't sell at a 60k gain. In fact, he continued holding until he was out by $111,000, and still the only reason why he sold was that it was a lucky trade and he didn't like holding overnight. NHPM made 53% gains and is still too dumb to sell. Yes, in the past year he's down by 53% or about $16,000, bringing his account to $46,610. He picked a totally different strategy than most traders on WallStreetBets. He just went ahead and did what his mama always said: invest smart even if you don't know much, like Nancy Pelosi, whoever she is. His mama always told him he might not be the smartest, but he had a knack for keeping things simple, and that's worked out pretty well. He got Nvidia and now it's going up faster than he could ever run, and he knows running, so he figured that was a good sign. Broadcom? Well, he doesn't know much about chips, but it seems to him that if all these tech companies need them, it's like buying up the whole bus instead of just a ticket. And Bitcoin? Now that's a funny thing. It's like money, but you can't touch it. So it took him a while to understand, but mom always said sometimes the best things in life ain't the things you can hold. So he reckoned Bitcoin's the future, and even if he doesn't fully get it, he knows to hold on tight. You don't need to be a genius to see that Microsoft and Apple are like sure bets, so he got some of those too. Sometimes keeping it simple is the smartest thing of all. Steak and Fries would disagree, because for his first ever options play he YOLO'd his bank account and made 54k. Yes, he's regarded and the first one is always free, but before he dove into options he was just holding Nvidia shares, and then he decided to try options. He bought about $58,000 worth of Nvidia call options with a strike price of $137 and an expiration date on October the 18th, basically 3 days till expiry. He wanted to sell as soon as the market open hit because he literally put 100% of his money in. At some point he was even up by 80k, but when Nvidia started dropping back down he sold, securing a 54k gain. Caesarion Dawn is saying goodbye. He lost 93% of his money or $9,700 and is left with about $657. But to be fair, he got in the green at least once before his account dropped to new all-time lows. Options are an addiction, no different than any other drug. This was his gambling money and some extra he added from his savings. He hopes this graph does something for someone out there. Take the money and run if you ever win. He kept playing and learned his lesson. He's uninstalling Robinhood after taking what's left. He'll miss you guys, you were the best part of doing this. None of his trades were based on hunches. He spent a lot of time reading, analyzing and following trends. His biggest losses came from irrational moments, such as when Nvidia reported major gains and the stock slipped massively, just to gain it back later. It's a rigged game, like the casino, unfortunately. Addiction is a real problem. WC Churning made a $1.2 million gain on SoFi. Yes, on SoFi calls with a strike price at $8 and an expiration date on January 17th, 2025, he's up by $750,000. And on SoFi shares, he's up by $440,000. But he's not selling. Instead, he's going to ride this bad boy through earnings, with the earnings report dropping on October 29th. Aquila Blanco was supposed to put a down payment on a house, but instead he YOLO'd into MicroStrategy calls and now he's down by 97% or $34,000. MicroStrategy rallied by 15% on that day, but still it couldn't save his calls. He never should have listened to the finance bros who said MicroStrategy was going to the moon. He was planning on buying a house with the gains, but now that will have to wait. He bought these calls in the first place because he saw the hype and made some bad decisions, but was convinced Bitcoin was going to shoot up to all-time highs that week, so he wasn't worried. He got into these on Tuesday, near the peak that day, and yeah, he was a bit excited and maybe acted too soon. He has been watching a lot of videos saying Bitcoin is going to new all-time highs and MicroStrategy is supposed to be the way to get ahead of Bitcoin, but they were wrong. On top of that, he has a girlfriend who doesn't know about this, but he's going to figure it out. And if you want to see how this trader lost $254,000 in a single trade, click on the video that just popped up. If you like my content, make sure to subscribe and thanks for watching.